Okay, this is part 4 of the elevator tutorial. I apologize for the delay, but I'm here now. So, I'm going to make a few fixes. I'm going to show you how to change the lighting settings for your floors, and we're going to finish up the stats system so that we can have a point shop. And yeah, so the first thing I wanted to point out was the teleport part here. Whenever you teleport to it, I'm pretty sure you face the direction of the part. So if you right click the part and you press show orientation indicator, it'll show you which way the part is facing. I fixed this a few minutes ago because I had it facing this way. But all I had to do was rotate it this way, and then players would now teleport facing that direction. Just a thing I wanted to point out. Now for changing the lighting, it's not that hard, but if you go to the properties of lighting, you can see all the different things you can change in the script. What you're going to do is you're going to figure out of which of these properties are you going to end up changing at least once in any of your floor thingies. So right here in the script, and let's say I ended up changing the ambient setting right here. Well, you need a way to turn it back to where it was before if you change it in one of these functions. So you're going to store a variable local default ambient. And that's going to be what you want your lighting to be by default. Mine is just going to be color3.new 000, and that is the same thing as what we have right here. Now I went ahead and copied and pasted all the default settings I want for whenever I need to change the brightness or clock time and so on. You don't need to add one of these variables if you never end up changing it, because it's just going to stay the same forever if you never actually change it. Now using whatever lighting settings that you decided to store as a variable, you're going to go all the way down here in the loop, and right after this line here, you're going to write game.lighting dot and then whatever setting you have a default variable for. So my first one is default ambient. So game.lighting.ambient is equal to default ambient, and you're just going to keep doing that for whatever settings you have. And as you can see, I just finished assigning my variables. So all this is going to do is whenever a floor ends, it's just going to set the lighting right back to how it was before, and it won't get stuck on whatever you set it to, maybe at some point in one of your floors, like if you wanted to make it nighttime or something. What I want to do next is fix the stats system, because the one I have right now doesn't work that well. In the onPlayerAdded script, you're going to copy and delete this with Control X, and then go to your elevator script, and then right after this if statement inside of this for loop, you're going to paste it, and then we're going to change some things. So behind streak, we're going to put player dot leader stats dot streak dot value is equal to 0, and then we're going to add a for loop for index active player in I pairs players actively playing. Do if active player equals player, then table dot remove players actively playing index, and then break. Instead of player dot character added, we're going to delete it and replace it with local character is equal to player dot character, and then remove this. And I'm just going to reorganize all of this. Okay, you can see I have a streak of 1, and there's an ongoing floor right now. So if I die somehow, not only does my streak gate reset to 0, but I think the floor would be ending right about now, and it didn't give me a point, so it knows that I died and I'm no longer playing. So if it does that, that means it's working. In the last episode, I showed you how to remove sound from the lobby, but I actually need to make some changes to this because it has some flaws. Now the first thing we're going to do is put right behind this local sounds equals, and then keep that there. We're just going to delete all of this and then write local function update sound volumes parentheses and then 4 underscore comma sound in I pairs sounds do if actively playing dot value is equal to false, then sound dot volume is equal to 0, else sound dot volume equals sound find first child original volume and sound dot original volume dot value or 1. Now because of this right here, you're going to want to make sure that every single sound that you ever add, like at all, in any of these things, it needs to have a number value or an int value inside of it that is set to whatever volume you want it to have, like by default. So when the player is in the lobby, they're not going to hear it. But once they actually go into the lobby and spawn into the elevator, the script is going to need a way to know what volume to set it to so the player can hear it. So that's what number you're going to set the int or number value to. If the sound object is parented to a part or something like that, like a physical object, then you don't have to worry about this because this is only checking, as you can see right here, for sound objects that are not parented to a part or a base part, because that's the only situation that you need it. So just remember that. I don't want your script to break because of it. Next we're going to write actively playing.changed connect update sound volumes. Remove that. For underscore comma sound in I pairs sounds do sound dot volume dot changed connect function if actively playing dot value is equal to false, then sound. Actually delete this right here, the volume dot, and then right here add and sound dot volume is greater than 0, then okay, and then sound dot volume is equal to, now sound check dot on client event connect update sound volumes, and one more function, game.workspace.descendant added connect function child. If child is a sound and not child dot parent is a part and not child dot parent is a base part, then if actively playing dot value is equal to false, then child dot volume is equal to 0, child dot changed connect function if actively playing dot value is equal to false and child dot volume is greater than 0, then child dot volume is equal to 0. Now what this does is if you're in the lobby and a floor starts that has music, well, the script isn't going to know that because it only checks for sounds once you actually join the game, because after that it's no longer checking. Well, this right here, it detects when a sound is added into the workspace, and then it detects if the player is in the lobby, and if they are, then it's going to set it to 0. And also cut this and move it right here and then right here. So this is going to fix a few problems I think that you might have. So I had some people asking how to make a NPC walk into the elevator and stay inside of it. So my NPC is just a noob NPC that I got from the toolbox. So I've put it inside of my platform floor and make sure that it's not anchored. When you get free model characters, people sometimes anchor the humanoid root part, so make sure that's not anchored. But once you've done that, keep it in your floors folder, and I'm just gonna go to the code that I already have right here. The name of my NPC is just noob, so I'm gonna write floor.noob.humanoid move to main door dot position. I'm gonna delete this floor dot noob dot humanoid dot move to finish wait. So what this is gonna do is just repeatedly wait until the noob finally reaches the main door. So any code after this line is not gonna run until it's finished. Now you're gonna want to make sure that your NPC's primary part is set. So I'm just gonna write floor.noob.primary part is equal to floor.noob.humanoid root part. Now after this, we're gonna do floor.noob set primary part C-frame. This is the line for why you need a primary part property set for your NPC. Parentheses elevator dot teleport part dot C-frame. And I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that this is set to true because we don't want players to be able to stop the NPC from reaching its destination, because that would kind of break things. I'm gonna add a wait 1 second here and a wait right here about 3 seconds. That's an optional thing. I'm just doing that to add a little bit of delay. And this is the most important part, but that's going to be floor.noob.parent is equal to elevator. This is going to make sure that it doesn't get removed from the game. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is how to make a shop. So right here I'm going to have a little desk for like a character to stand behind. You could do like your own avatar if you wanted to, using a one of these plugins. like that, but I'm just going to keep it simple. And I'll have this desk right here. And now what you're going to do is create a new part, and on the other side of the desk, you're going to put it to look something like this. Now make sure it's anchored, make it transparent, and then turn off can collide. Make sure you keep can touch on. Now you're going to put whatever parts you make for your shop into the shop folder. To keep things organized, I just put another folder inside and call it other. And this is where I'm going to put parts that are not really associated with this scripting. So with the invisible part, you're going to keep it out of the folder and name it prompt. Now create a new script inside of this prompt, and we're going to write local prompt part is equal to script.parent. Local players is equal to game get service players. Local function on touch other. Local player is equal to players get player from character other dot parent. If player, then local player GUI is equal to player wait for child player GUI. Local GUI is equal to player GUI wait for child shop GUI. So this right here is where we're gonna add a GUI into starter GUI by making a screen GUI and then call this shop GUI. If not GUI dot enabled, then GUI dot enabled is equal to true. Now while GUI dot enabled do local humanoid root part is equal to player dot character find first child humanoid root part. If humanoid root part, then local distance is equal to parentheses prompt part dot position minus humanoid root part dot position and then dot magnitude. If distance is greater than 5, then GUI dot enabled is equal to false. Now this number right here is how many studs you want the player to be able to have the GUI of the shop show up from. So right now it's set 5 studs. So if a player is more than 5 studs away from this invisible part, that's when the GUI is going to stop showing up. If you want the players to be closer to be able to see it, lower it to like 2 or 3 or something. If you want them to interact with it from a far distance, it'd be like 7 or something like that. Now make sure you add wait 0.1 seconds, and then at the very end do prompt part dot touched connect on touch without these parentheses. You're gonna have to design your GUI. So if you want a simple layout, here's what I would do. I'm gonna add a frame. I'm gonna set the size to 0.35, maybe like 42. And I'm gonna position it in the middle of the screen. So I'm gonna do 0.3. Oh yeah, just drag it until it lines up in the middle. That'll give you a more accurate number. Now I'm going to make this about 0.75 transparency, and I'll maybe change it to the darker color. Make it a bit less transparent, like that. Now I'm going to add a corner, UI corner, do like 12, and then you could add a title, maybe. I'll add a text label, set the size to 1, 0, 0.10. I guess I do 0.15 here. Now transparent background, text scaled, white text, and then I'll do shop. Now I'm going to add a scrolling frame, set the transparency to 1 on the background, the position of 0, 0, 0.15, 0. Now put the size to 1, and then change this to 0.85. Now you have like a way to scroll through items. Now in here, add a image button, and then add UI grid layout. Now in the UI grid layout, I'm going to get rid of the padding, and I'm going to set the cell size to 0.25, 0, 0.25, 0, and then on the image button, I'm going to make the background transparency 1, and if you duplicate the image button with Control D, it should just start to duplicate like this in a grid. So you can just do this and then customize each one with a different image. But if you want to test it right now, put the shopped UI turn off enabled, and then walk up to this. Now, as you can see, I can just freely walk away and right back to it. I can move around right here, and it's still showing up. But when I walk away, yeah, you can see it disappears. So that's what it should be doing. Change the Y size here to 7.5, and that way I can add another text label. I'm going to duplicate this text label, and I'm going to move it down to 0.85, and then change the size here to 0.1, and then change this to 9. There we go, that should put it right there. Change text X alignment to left, size here to about 0.3. Now I'm going to duplicate this, and then change the position to about 0.4, no, 0.3, and then the size here to 0.7. Now you're going to name this description, name the other one we added item title, and then I'm just going to name this to shop title. Now remember that you can customize this GUI however you want. I'm just creating a new layout in case you need one. Now for the item title and description, just set their texts to nothing, and then go into your scrolling frame, and for however many images you have, you're going to put a string value inside of it. Now one thing we're actually missing here, I'm going to delete all these because we're going to need to replace them. We need to add a text button right here. This is going to be the purchase button. So I'm going to put it at the bottom. So that's going to be 0.9. No, 0. No, 1. 0. 0.9. 0. And then set this to 1. 0. 0.1. 0. And put this X to 0. I don't know why I put a 1 there. Probably look better if I put this 0.1 to 0.2. Change this to 8. And then let's change this to 0.7. I'm going to change this to 2 to 15. I'm going to change this to add a 5 here. And then on the size, I'm going to change this to 0.7. And then change this to 0.15. Now in the text button, I'm going to add a UI corner. change the radius to about 15. No, change it to about 13. Do 11. I'm gonna put the text color to a white, put the background to a green color, and then on the text, add text scaled. Add a little bit of text stroke, and then whatever item this image button is, and the text for this purchase button here is where you're gonna put the price. So this could be maybe 15 or something. I'm actually gonna raise it up a bit, maybe like that. Now back to the string value you added. You're gonna name this description, and then that is gonna be whatever shows up in the description that we added right here. Now for the title, that's gonna be set to whatever you named this image button. So make sure you change this to whatever it is, like a health potion or something, then you would name it to that. And then maybe add a description, something like gives player plus 50 health, or something like this. That's just an example. These could be anything. Now what you're going to do next is inside of the shop GUI, add a local script. And here's what we're going to write. Local player is equal to game get service players dot local player. Local shop event is equal to game get service replicated storage dot shop event. So now you're going to go to replicated storage, and you can see we have sound check. We're going to duplicate that, name it to shop event. Now for underscore comma object and ipairs player dot player GUI dot shop GUI dot frame dot scrolling frame get descendants do if object is a text button and object dot name is equal to text button, then object dot activated connect function shop event fire server object. Now after this, local title is equal to script dot parent dot frame dot item title, and then local description is equal to script dot parent dot frame dot description. Now for underscore comma object in ipairs script dot parent dot frame dot scrolling frame get children do if object is a image label, then local title text is equal to object dot name, local description text is equal to object find first child description dot value, and then object dot mouse enter connect function title dot text is equal to title text, and description dot text is equal to description text. Now I'm going to go ahead and test this. Now what I've done here is I have two items, a apple and a sword. I have the description, a description for both of them. I have their names set on these image buttons, which you need. And I'm actually going to set these images to fit just so they don't look stretched. And then I'm going to disable the GUI, and then we're going to see if it works. Okay, I've accidentally put image label instead of image button. And as you can see, it is showing the title and then the description after that. Now we just have to make these buttons work. In the server script service, add a script. Name it shop script. Local shop event is equal to game get service replicated storage dot shop event. Local items is equal to game get service server storage dot shop items. Now right here, we're going to go to server storage, add a folder, shop items. Inside of this folder, you're going to have a folder for every single item you have in the shop. So I just have apple, and then I have sword. Now make sure the names of these folders match up with the name of the text, the image buttons, like that. Inside of these, you're going to add a int value. Name it cost. Make sure it matches up with your cost, of course, in the GUI. So mine was 15, and the other one was 50. Then you're going to add your gear inside of this. So I have this apple thing here. I'm just going to add it in, and it needs to have the same name as the folder. Okay, so I have my gears in here. So this is now set up. We're going to go back to the shop script and write shop event dot on server event connect function player comma object local item folder is equal to items find first child object dot parent dot name local points is equal to player dot leader stats dot points dot value local cost is equal to item folder dot cost dot value. If points is greater than or equal to cost, then local item is equal to item folder find first child object dot parent dot name local new item is equal to item clone new item dot parent is equal to player dot backpack and player dot leader stats dot points dot value minus equals cost. Now if I go ahead and test it now, you can see I had 15 points. I lost the 15 points, and now I have the apple in my inventory, which just does that. So if I go ahead and give myself, let's see, 50, I do 100 points, I can go back into the shop, get the sword, get apples, stuff like that. I have my total in, yeah. Now in the on-player added data store area, if you want points and survivals to save, then it needs to look like this. Let me change that. There we go. But if that is not the case and you only want survivals to save, then you're going to delete this. Change this to 1. Change this to 1. And then delete this. Or, no, not that. I meant this. Now, I thought I fixed this earlier in the video, but it turns out this section right here in the elevator script is actually still a little bit buggy. So the fix is to cut this right here, place it above the loop, and then you're gonna make changes to this block of code until it looks like this one. So now I'm just gonna delete this old one, and it's gonna sit above this loop, and make sure it says values folder and not values. Now above this, add coroutine.wrap function, and then after the end in this parenthesis, add another set of parentheses, and then in the coroutine, add while true do, and then copy this, put it inside, and then add another coroutine right here. Make sure to add the other set of parentheses, and then I'm going to cut this and then put it inside. Make sure that right above these two end statements you add weight 0.5. That's going to be the end of part 4. If you get any errors or bugs that you can't fix, or if you have any suggestions or things you want me to include in the next tutorial, let me know in my Discord. It'll be in the description, or leave a comment. And if I think it's a good idea, then I'll add it in the next one. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you.